Right now in KGW, a car drives into a homeless camp in northeast Portland. The new details we are learning from Portland police. Plus, the future of TikTok in jeopardy after the Supreme Court rules to uphold a law that could ban the app. And the latest on the wildfires in Los Angeles as evacuated residents start to return home. And later, we head down one of Oregon's backdoor byways to see some bighorn sheep. Your news at noon starts right now. Thank you for joining us. I'm China Green. We start with national news. Time is running out for TikTok. The Supreme Court ruled this morning to uphold a law that could ban the app. So the law would require the social media platform to divest itself from its Chinese ownership. If it doesn't, it could be removed from U.S. app stores this Sunday. However, the Biden administration said it will not enforce the ban, instead leaving the fate of TikTok in the hands of incoming President Donald Trump. Speaking of incoming President Donald Trump, the inauguration ceremony is moving indoors to the Capitol Rotunda. The move is due to a frigid weather forecast for Washington, D.C. over the next few days. Inauguration day is often cold, but Monday looks to be especially brisk. The high is expected to be roughly 20 degrees. The last time a swearing-in was held indoors was Ronald Reagan's second inauguration. Back here locally, someone drove a car into a homeless camp in northeast Portland just off of I-205. This happened at Northeast 97th and Gladstone around 1 o'clock this morning. According to Portland police, some tents were hit by the car, but luckily no one was hurt. We did hear from some people living in that camp who shared just how close this call was.
If it wasn't for all of our stuff, we would be dead. The car literally went right over the top of us.
According to police, the driver ran away from the crash and could not be located. Also overnight in northeast Portland, someone drove a car into the Max platform at 148th and Burnside. This happened about 30 minutes after the last story at 1:30 this morning. The driver was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The crash did not have any impact on the Max service. And today marks 1 week on the picket lines for thousands of Providence doctors and nurses. Providence said earlier that it hopes to resume negotiations today. Hospital leaders say that they sent the union updated proposals and a request for bargaining dates. But in a statement last night, the nurses union said that the recent proposals by Providence, quote, do not reflect any meaningful movement. All right, let's head over to Rod Hill for a look at your weather today.
Well, we'll start where it's really sunny. Here's the coast. Good afternoon to you. This is Lincoln City Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera, 43 degrees. All of the temperatures generally across our area indicating that a new batch of cooler air has moved in. Many spots of the coast won't hit 50, and in some cases the first time in quite a while. It is sunny up and down. That was Lincoln County. Here's Gearhart by the Sea resort looking at Tillamook Head, and of course Seaside's right there. So up north that is all sunny as well. And look at the blue sky over Timberline. It was 15 up there this morning. They're at 24 right now. Coldest day in quite a while over the Cascades. Again, the messaging here is that the batch of air that we've been tracking that's going to lead to those cold temperatures over the weekend at night, that cooler air is already moving in. Thought we'd start to see some breaks in the cloud cover by noon, but for the most part, it's still overcast out there solidly. We're at 40 degrees in Portland. Here's a visible satellite picture. And again, all this white, Salem, Woodburn, Portland, Kelso, that means everybody in the flats of the valley is still overcast at this hour. Expecting to start clearing out in the next couple of hours and be mostly sunny and 45 at 4 o'clock. Winds will continue to be light. Now, we'll get into the colder weekend forecast, which is tied to that same batch of air that's moved the presidential inauguration indoors on Monday all the way on the East Coast. Back to you.
Thank you, Ron. In an update this afternoon, police identified the man who was shot and killed Monday afternoon outside the Gateway Fred Meyer in northeast Portland. They say 47-year-old Jonathan Trent was shot while trying to stop a robbery suspect who had taken a woman's purse. The shooter got away, and police say that they are still trying to track them down. In Clackamas County, a Gladstone woman is fighting for her life after getting hit by a car on New Year's Day. KGW's Alma McCarty spoke to her son, who's holding on to hope that his mom will pull through.
On the first day of the new year, 46-year-old Lene Dean was walking on McLaughlin Boulevard, not far from her Gladstone apartment.
She loves to be around people.
Her son, Richie Surratt, says as she was making her way back from the Texaco gas station, she was hit by a car.
Well, I had dropped everything I was doing at that point and made my way over to OHSU to, kind of just see the situation and the severity of what was actually going on. It was unbelievable.
Unbelievable to see his mother, normally so joyful and full of life, in a coma, fighting to survive.
Yeah, brain surgery, 2 back surgeries. Her pelvis was broken in half. Both of her legs are broken. Her arms are broken. Her ribs are broken. She had internal bleeding. It's quite frankly, she broke every bone in her body other than her left arm completely through.
Oregon State Police responded to the New Year's Day crash, arresting 36-year-old Whitney Green on charges of DUI, reckless driving, and assault. Prosecutors say she ran a red light, striking Dean in the crosswalk.
Rendered the victim in a state where she is, from the last that we learned, which was a few days ago, was unconscious, and there's a likelihood that she will pass away.
Richie, however, holds on to the hope that his mother will pull through, but understands recovery will take time.
When it comes to my mother, she's never going to have the same life again. She'll be a paraplegic. Best case scenario, she will be a paraplegic and or brain dead for the rest of her life.
2 weeks after the crash and unsure of what lies ahead, Dean's family started a fundraiser, looking to raise enough to cover the high costs of medical care.
As you can imagine, hospital bills are ridiculous as it is. So, when it comes to an emergency care and, 10 surgeries, 12 surgeries plus later, yeah, the bills are high.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
The suspect in the case pleaded not guilty in court yesterday to DUI and reckless driving charges. And while her attorney argued for her release, the judge kept the bail at $100,000. In Los Angeles, winds have finally died down, allowing firefighters to bring more than 40,000 acres of wildfires under control. The fires have killed at least 27 people and destroyed more than 12,000 structures. The cause of the fire remains unknown. NBC's Morgan Chesky has the latest from Altadena.
We're here in Altadena, where you can clearly see the results of the Eaton fire. If there is any good news to come out of this past week, it's that fire crews have said that they have slowed, if not stopped, the progress of both the Eaton fire and the Palisades fire. But we are seeing just a glimpse of the length of recovery that now faces both of these communities. The authorities say that they are beginning what they're calling the repopulation process, letting affected residents get back to the neighborhoods to see if their home still stands, to gather what possessions they can. We know that Palisades has allowed about 11,000 people back into certain neighborhoods, and Altadena allowed some of the first residents yesterday evening. Meanwhile, it's still a very active process. Authorities say that search and rescue teams are still going door to door in some cases because there is a number of people still missing. On top of that, the EPA's announced that they've dispatched a 500-person team to assist in the monumental task of cleanup, gathering hazardous materials and disposing of them in a safe way before allowing everyone to return home. The ATF remains the lead investigative agency on the Palisades fire, and while the cause remains unknown, they believe they have ruled out a fireworks-caused fire on New Year's Eve that some believed may have reignited last week. ATF saying if that was the case, it would be, quote, a phenomenon. In the meantime, there is still a significant heaviness that pervades both of these communities. We know that more relief is pouring in, not just from a donation standpoint, but on a firefighting front as well. At last check, more than 5,000 firefighters have amassed here in Los Angeles, and their work far from over. Unfortunately, forecasters say that Santa Ana winds may return as soon as Monday or Tuesday of next week. They are expected to be weaker than last week's event, but troubling nonetheless. We'll send it back to you.
And some other national headlines we want to get you caught up on. President Joe Biden just set the record for the most pardons and commutations by an acting president. The president announced today that he is commuting the sentences of nearly 2,500 people convicted of non-violent drug offenses. It's the biggest single-day act of clemency in the U.S. history. The president also noted that he could issue more clemency action before he leaves office on Monday. And take a look at this video. It's the aftermath of a SpaceX Starship rocket exploding over the Caribbean. SpaceX called the event a, quote, rapid, unscheduled disassembly. It was the 7th test flight for the 400-foot tall Starship, the world's biggest and most powerful rocket. SpaceX suspects that a fire may have caused the rocket to break apart and is now investigating.